Sicilians. They're here.
Hey, everybody, you want me to pause the recording for a minute? Maybe.
No, that's fine. Gary and I will catch up another time.
I have a question, Nick. How does one view the recording after the meeting is over?
Okay.
Well, that's a good question because first of all, I got to download it to my computer and then I got to upload it to YouTube and then I got to share the link with everybody. And sometimes that just doesn't happen, Dean.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have a YouTube channel and some of them are there if you want to go look. I'll post the link to my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I was really hoping I could get somebody to volunteer to be our video person.
You don't want me to volunteer for anything. I can't even get into the Zoom meetings half the time.
Okay, so this is one heck of a long URL. But I'll put it in the chat. If I can find where the chat is. Okay, so that's, you might want to try that link and see if it works. I don't, and let me know if it doesn't. I'll get you a new one. So, what were you guys talking about? What did I miss?
I was just sharing about, we were talking about how teeny tiny Carlentini was back in, like, when my grandmother was a child. Mm-hmm. And that my great grandfather was the guy with the donkey and the cart. And they were all of the people in his, like, it was like a little village, not even a town. And they were like, they had like their little parcels of land that they all worked and you know, had fruit and vegetables or whatever, planted their little crops on, sharecroppers or something like that. And every morning they'd bring him what they had, their produce for the day to sell to the to the market in town, and him and the donkey would take it. And then at the end of the day, anything that was left over, he'd bring it and give back to them. And that was how he made his living.
Deborah, can you move your camera down a little bit? All we see is your eyes.
Well, you know, okay, now, all right, Gary. Now I don't see anything. I don't see me. Did I lose you?
I'm here.
Do you see anything about me at all?
Now we see you perfectly.
You do?
Ciao tutti.
Yeah.
Ciao, Eleanor.
Ciao.
I don't see.
Gary, you have a beautiful picture on your shoulders.
Is that Carlentini, Gary?
Oh, that's the plaza in Carlentini. Where
Yes.
the municipal building is. And my cousin's got a bakery in there.
Oh, so nice.
Avrei voluto comunque non lavorare questi giorni.
Dove, Eleonora?
In Francia.
In your apartment?
Yes, I'm still in my apartment, and I finally found a corner where the Wi-Fi works a little bit better.
Oh, good.
It's okay.
Is there a TV or radio or something going in the background?
No, I have a bed. This is a bed, and then the kitchen, And the TV, yes, over there. What eye?
We can hear the TV, I think it is.
Oh, yes. Yes. Okay.
So Deb was telling us about, this is your great grandfather, Deb?
Yeah, my great grandfather.
And what was his name?
I don't remember.
Do you know his surname?
Well, Santo.
Oh, it was Santo, okay.
No, it wasn't. It was the Ossino,
Ossino, okay.
the Ossino.
Ossino,
Ossino.
Bravo, Ossino. How
Ossino.
many new people tonight? Ciao, Deborah. Nice to meet you. And ciao, Diane.
Hi.
Ted. Hi.
so Anita, you're in a different location. It's very nice looking background you have there.
Yes.
Oh, you're
You're
muted.
unmuted.
Sorry, it's so dark in my bedroom sometimes. I thought I'd come out to the light.
Yeah, it's really nice image there.
Thank you.
Very, very well done.
So I want to, let's see, everybody here is returning except for Diane McCaw and Ted. I'm not sure how Ted says his last name. It looks like Neaters or something like that, but I can't hear Diane or Ted. It looks like they're both muted.
Yeah. Okay. I took it off mute now.
Hi, Diane. How are
Hi.
you?
Hi, I'm good. It's my first time, so see what's happening here.
Well, yeah, we've been getting a lot of new people over the last several weeks, and let's see. I think me and Dean are the old hands here. We've been around the longest, and then Eleonora joined us in what was it, December, or no, it was October of 2020. Eleonora joined us, and Anita, I'm not sure how long you've been on the call, but it's been at least a year, I'd say.
Pretty close.
And Nick Gibilisco's been around for a year, I'd say. Gary Gibilisco, you've been on what, about 6 months or so?
Yeah, about 6.
Uh-huh. And let's see, Chris Mangano is with us today, and she's been kind of in and out a few times, but associated with us for a while. Some of the newer people are Anthony Marino and Tammy Malone. Can you see those names, Debbie, or Diane rather?
Yes, I can see them.
Okay, good. Anthony is my neighbor.
Oh, okay.
More or less. I mean, we probably live like 4 or 5 miles apart, but we're in the same city.
Yeah, Nick has
Texas.
helped me several times.
And Tammy lives in North Texas, I believe, don't you, Tammy?
That's right. Yes, up in Justin, north of Fort Worth.
North of Fort Worth. And then, so we have people from, well, Eleonora, she is actually from Carlentini Lentini. And she, well, years and years ago, back in the 90s, I did some research and I wrote a letter to the city of Carlentini, and I got a letter back from a man named Giuseppe Folletti. And I've stayed in touch with Giuseppe Folletti. Well, I got in touch with him in the last couple of years, I guess. Sometime in early 2020, I think I got in touch with Giuseppe Folletti. He was the person at the Stato Civile who would answer the genealogical information requests. And I asked him, is there anybody in Carlentini that's interested in history or genealogy, and he gave me Eleonora's name.
Oh, okay.
So since Eleonora got involved, it has blossomed, and she gave me Sherry Kanger's name, and Sherry is instrumental in the Sister City program. Well, they both are. And so we also have a Saturday, first Saturday of the month, which is coming up this Saturday, where our Carlentini Sister City group meets. And so Diane, tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Sure. I live in Benson, Arizona, which is about an hour from Tucson, southeastern Arizona. And I was born in Omaha. And my grandfather, John Grasso is my maiden name. And John and Rose had a neighborhood grocery store in Little Italy. And I think somebody shared a picture of that with your group at one point, like about a year ago or something. But I have pictures of them in their grocery store. And so my family names are Grasso and Calfior and Salerno. Those are the kind of the ones that I've been researching. And Nick contacted me through Ancestry and said, "Oh, we have a lot of common people in the tree. So, maybe we can share some information." I just started doing this maybe a couple years ago. So just still kind of, new and not real good at the Italian part. That's the part that, I always keep hitting brick walls. And when I get up to something in Italian or back too far, I'm like, okay, that's kind of where I get hung up. So sounds like.
So you're in Benson, Arizona. What proximity, what's the nearest major city?
Tucson.
Tucson?
Yeah, so I'm in southeastern Arizona. So just fairly
Tucson
close
always
to the
throws
New
the
Mexico
C's
border.
before the S.
It's just a small town out in the country. My husband likes astronomy, so we moved out where it was dark so he could do his astronomy. So it's dark and dry, perfect for astronomers. So
yeah, my only experience with Tucson was I was a member of an organization of college and university facility managers.
Oh, okay.
And we had a conference in Tucson, and they took us onto the campus of the University of Arizona there in Tucson.
Yeah,
and
they have a big.
I remember it was a nighttime tour. And so when we first, well, it was kind of dusky when we first arrived, and it was like there was nobody on that campus. And then as soon as the sun went down, there were people everywhere, all over the campus. Because of the heat, I guess they're nocturnal.
Yeah, if you came in the summer, you pretty much don't want to do anything in the middle of the day. So
yeah,
yeah, it's pretty hot. It's not as hot as Phoenix, as we're a little bit higher up than Phoenix. So and then we're even a little higher up from Tucson, so we have more reasonable weather here too.
What's your elevation in Benson?
It's 4,000.
4,000.
So I mean, so it gets down to like 20s. It's been getting down to the 20s at night and 50s and 60s during the day. So yeah, we're a little cooler for Arizona.
Okay, so you have Grasso. You call it Calfior. I think
that's how my family always pronounced it.
I think the original pronunciation would be Calfiore. Calfiore.
Okay, sure. That's probably the Italian. But they
just.
Ciao, Silvana.
Ciao.
So Diane, I want to introduce you to Silvana. Silvana, we have a new member. Her name is Diane McCaw, and she lives in Arizona. And Silvana lives in Carlentini.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Wonderful.
Ciao Silvana, benvenuta.
Ciao Leonora.
So Mary Kay Lynch, I'm glad that you're on board today because Diane McCaw has Grasso in her tree. Or Grasso.
That's my maiden name, Grasso.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been working quite a bit on mine. I've had to kind of cleaned mine up and I got a lot of, I've kind of expanded it a little bit more.
Oh, okay. So we'd have to figure out where we connect there on the Grasso.
Do you have a
That's always
tree?
interesting. Oh, yeah, ancestry. And I'm under Diane McCaw, so you should be able to find me.
Okay.
It's the Grasso and Kohler family tree.
I have seen that.
Yep, that's the
Io
one.
conosco le sorelle Grasso a Carlentini.
Yeah.
Rosetta,
And I didn't
Luciana,
even know
Maria.
about Carlentini till I started doing all this. People didn't talk about very much about the old, they call the old country. They would just call it the old country.
Ah,
I
ok.
did know my
Silvana was
great
just saying
grandmother.
that she knows some Grasso people.
Dice
Oh,
che non
Rosetta,
conosce
Maria.
she knows Grasso
molto
people?
le sue
Oh,
origini perché tutti
Yes.
quanti dicono
okay. What did she say? That's great.
Anche una
tutti
mia
si
collega che si chiama Grasso.
riferiscono con l'espressione il vecchio continente, non menzionano la città da dove vengono e quindi non è molto connessa con Carlentini. Silvana, she's saying that she knows two sisters and their names is Grasso. Maybe you're connected with them. Who knows?
Yeah,
We need to
Può
Could
meet.
be.
it could be. Yeah.
Potrebbe essere che lei
Sì, perché la
è
nonna delle
connessa con
sorelle
queste
Grasso
sorelle
è stata
Grasso.
nell'Emilia. La nonna
So
delle
welcome
sorelle
to
Grasso.
Marianne Mangiamelli
È
Webster.
stata a
in
Omaha
America?
per tanto tempo e poi è tornata di nuovo a
Ciao
Carlentini.
Marianne.
Hi.
Ciao Monica.
Diane, I
Hi,
have a
Monica.
great aunt who was a
Yeah.
Calafiore,
Yeah.
never came over, married a Jubilisco.
Okay. So that's our possible connection there, huh? I'll have to look up on that
Yeah.
one.
And you got
Okay.
Salerno's too, so I got Salerno's.
Yeah, Salerno's. Okay.
We're
Yeah,
all
we've
related.
got quite a few
Oh, I
Salerno
know.
descendants.
It's
in our
amazing,
group.
isn't it?
I also have Calafiore in my tree.
Mm-hmm.
They married Chiminos,
Okay.
and okay, so what happened to? We're missing the other new guy. Did he fall off? It looks
Ed?
like. Yeah, I don't see him.
Ciao Marianne.
So I want to tell you guys a story about a Grasso, and so my second great grandfather was married to Carmela Grasso. My second great grandfather was Sebastiano Cimino, and so in researching the Grassos, I came across the Fred Grasso family tree, and I think Diane's familiar
I
with
did
that
too.
tree.
They have a lot in their tree. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good tree.
And so I forget exactly Fred's relationship to Andrew Grasso,
I
but
think that's his dad.
is that his dad?
I think so.
Yeah, I let me just pull it up on my tree because
Yeah.
I think
I don't
it'll
have an ability to.
be
I was wondering
easier
how we could
to-
do that while we were in Zoom.
So yeah, you can share your screen on Zoom.
I've never tried doing that before, so.
So this is somebody that I'm researching for PJ Asta. She has Sioux ancestry, but she's part of our family now. Okay, so now I
Okay.
got to switch trees to Cimino,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got to look for. Okay, so this is my Aunt Camilla here, and there's Sebastiano and Carmela.
Okay.
So let's find Fred. Where'd Fred go? Tree Fred. Fred Grasso. Okay, Fred Daniel, also known as Alfred Grasso. So
Yeah, there's his
yes,
dad.
so Andrew was his dad. You are correct.
Right, right.
Okay, so this is our shared ancestors right here, Alfio Grasso and Giuseppe Tomasello.
Right. Okay.
And this Alfio Grasso here was the brother of my Carmela Grasso. So,
Okay. Yes, I see that. I was trying to figure this out because there's an Alfio Grasso with a Giuseppe Tomasello and an Alfio Grasso with a Giuseppe Salerno. And those are a sticking point. They keep getting confused, those two families.
well,
I was
we'll
trying to
work on
straighten
that
this out.
then. Okay,
Yeah,
so
that
anyway,
was a tricky one.
one of
Look how
our family
many
stories was that
newspapers.
we had some sort of a connection to Al Capone.
Ah.
And so
Where?
I've been trying to run that story down
Wow.
for
Well,
years.
I did see that Andrew Grasso was one of the first bootleggers that got like sent to jail or something because they were trying to make a example of him. Isn't that
Yeah.
what some of these are about?
Well, this is the
During Prohibition.
yeah, this is the newspaper
Yeah.
article.
I remember that
Moonshiners
one.
given $2,500 fines plus
Right.
6 months in jail.
Heavy
And
penalty.
so
Because
this was
usually they
Dakota
didn't do it
City,
that much.
Nebraska, which is right
Mhm.
across from Sioux City, Iowa. And so Frank Odo, and the Odos are related to me as well,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, I've seen them.
Andrew Grasso or Andrea Grasso
Right.
were made examples of, like you say, Diane.
That's what it
And
looks like.
so then you go down, you read, and it says, the drive was conducted by Sheriff George Kane, Deputy Sheriff Melford Lathrop, and
Mhm.
R.J. Hart, State Deputy Sheriff. Does anybody know
Okay.
who R.J. Hart is?
No.
Okay, well, let me show you. Okay, so
Oh,
here's
that's where
some-
the Al Capone connection comes in.
here's some stories.
Oh,
Richard James Hart.
okay.
So he fashioned himself a cowboy. He is the oldest brother of Al Capone.
Oh my
And
gosh.
he was a sharpshooter, and he was in some of those Wild West shows and circuses, and he was also known as Two Gun Hart. And he wore, see these old-fashioned holsters, and here's a good example. This is the way he would dress. He dressed as a cowboy, and he had 2 6-shooters on both, one on each hip.
Oh my gosh.
Well, he's very nice looking, but how did he come up with the name of Richard Hart from Capone?
Yeah, and how come if he was Capone, how come they have different names? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Capone brother that you never heard of. So let's look at this
Did he
one.
change his name to Hart or something?
The Capone brother you might not know, Ancestry.
Okay.
There's a blog about it.
Okay.
So
wow, I'll have to read up on that one. That's really
Richard
interesting.
J. Hart, he arrested my great-grandfather's first cousin.
He was the one that arrested Andrew. Okay.
Yep. So so that's the Capone connection as best I can figure it out. So I just thought you guys would enjoy.
Yeah, we actually,
little bit of family
connected
lore.
to Capone, sort of.
Well, the stories were legendary because I've been talking to a lot of my dad's cousins over the last several days, trying to sort out what their memories of it were. And some said that our relatives were victims in the St. Valentine's Day massacre. And some said we were members of the Capone gang. And,
wow.
But really all it came down to was a shirt-tail relative got arrested
him. Yeah.
Capone's brother.
Yeah, we'd had stories in my family. My grandmother would say her dad, the Grasso side, did sell moonshine. It was involved in prohibition, but he never got caught. So,
Yeah, well, Andrew went straight, and he moved to Omaha and lived out the rest of his life. And his son Fred has very fond memories of his dad. I've interviewed Fred and did a transcript of the interviews and put it in my ancestry notes field.
really, that's a real interesting story.
So yeah, we need to work on the Grassos.
Yeah. How many people have Grassos in their tree here? Are they all over the place?
Volevo dire una cosa, Eleonora.
Vai Silvana, che ti traduco.
Diane, I
Visto che
just did an
uno-
ancestry DNA search and you're my 4th to 6th cousin.
Wonder, that's great. And who said that? I'm sorry. Who's
Monica Zendejas.
Oh, very cool. Okay, so we'll have to like look at each other's trees there, huh? Figure
Yep.
it out. That's great.
Yeah,
Allora,
PJ
volevo dire una
Aston,
Silvana, she
I
wants
just
to
discovered.
share. She wants to share something. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Ho
Vai
visto
Silvana.
che il nonno della signora Grasso si chiama Alfio Grasso. E il papà delle sorelle Grasso che conosco io si chiamava Alfio pure lui.
Ah,
Quindi mi pare che
ed
ci
era la
sia.
loro nonna che andò ad Omaha per tanti anni.
Sì, la loro nonna però non si chiamava Grasso, ovviamente, no? Il Grasso è il papà
Okay,
di queste.
so those two sisters that Silvana knows,
Okay.
it is interesting because their father, his name is Alfio Grasso.
Another Alfio. Oh my gosh.
Yes,
We have so many Alfios.
The grandmother of those two sisters, she went to Omaha and she spent a lot of years
Oh.
in Omaha, and then she came back to Carlentini.
Okay. So what are the names of the family?
E qual è il nome della famiglia, quindi? Grasso?
We cannot hear you.
Sei silenziosa.
Oh, she muted it.
Allora, le ragazze si chiamano, ragazze, insomma, sono più grandi di me. Maria, Nunziatina e Rosetta Grasso. E il loro papà si chiama Alfio Grasso.
Three
Rosetta è
sisters,
famosa a
Maria,
Carlentini.
Nunziatina and Rosetta Grasso. Maybe they are your cousins.
They might be.
Their father was Alfio Grasso.
Okay.
And they are, quanti anni hanno più o meno?
Allora,
how old are they more or
sono tutte
less?
più grandi di me, quindi più di 60 anni. Io ne ho quasi 63. Quindi
More
Maria
than
avrà
60.
Over
sì,
60.
65,
65,
67, così. Hanno
67.
figli, nipoti, figurati.
Okay.
There's a lot of Alfios because my great grandfather
Oh my
was
gosh.
Alfio.
Yeah.
To sort them out. I mean, there's
That's
numerous.
been a major thing for me to try to figure out too.
Yes.
Definitely. Try to figure
Yeah, a
out which
lot of trees
Alfio is
have
which.
crossed up too.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
especially with this one couple, because both of their wives were named Giuseppe. So that was like really when I was trying to untangle recently.
Giuseppe or Giuseppina?
Well, I just have Giuseppe, Salerno, and one family was a Tomasello one, which was the one that Nick has the relatives in. But I think my relatives are in the Salerno family. So far.
So Deborah, the difference between Giuseppe and Giuseppina is like Josephine and Josie.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
They're the same. Okay. Like just a
Okay,
variation.
I was just curious because I've never heard of Giuseppe, but I've seen a lot of Giuseppinas.
Oh, so I'm just the opposite. I seem like I see the other ones. Okay.
Yeah.
Like little Giuseppe.
Oh.
Peppino is little Joe, because my grandfather had Peppino Aliano, who ran the fruit stand down on 42nd and Leavenworth, and it was little Joe, little Joe Troya. So that's what we were, and my dad called me Megalina, as in little Meg. So that's where the INA in Spanish
it just means little.
It's ITA, but in Italian it's INA or INO.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Okay.
Mia sorella si chiama Pinuccia. Che
Silvana's
significa
sister, her name is Pinuccia.
Giuseppe Pinuccia.
Pinuccia.
So yeah, it's Panuccia is also the same as Giuseppe,
Giuseppe.
right?
Oh, another variation?
Mhm.
Pina o Pinuccia, dipende.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Pina or Pinuccia are short names.
Like
We can dedicate one meeting, an entire meeting, to the way to change the names in Sicilian, because actually I think it's just in dialect that we do that. È soltanto da noi.
My grandparents put Utsu, like they would call me Mary Utsu.
Yeah,
Sì.
my grandfather used to call me Mariano.
Like little Mary or little Sam.
Vero.
So Sebastiano
Però mia
becomes
nonna,
Iano,
nonna-
becomes Nello,
Right.
ma
becomes
anticamente era ancora
Nuccio.
peggio. Anticamente era ancora peggio, Eleonora, perché mia nonna
And
si
years
chiamava
ago was even
Giuseppa.
worse because all of them, they had the same names. So the only way to get different was to find a nickname that was special.
Esatto. Mia nonna si chiamava Giuseppa e la chiamavano Puda.
So
Silvana's
Sebastiano,
grandmother was Giuseppa, and she was known as Puda.
Oh, see,
Puda.
I've never heard that one. Yeah.
Puda.
Puda.
Puda. Okay.
Puda.
So I
as
want
in
to
boy,
draw
Ma c'era anche al
attention for a minute.
maschile, Pudo. Pudo
If I
e
could get
Puda.
your
Anonna-
attention for just a
Anonna
minute,
Puda.
please. Sherry has been posting some very interesting things in the chat log. We do have a meeting coming up on Saturday. So if you're not already registered for that, let me know and I can sign you up. Yeah, our sister city thing is really blossoming. And I also just put in the chat log a YouTube link, and I would appreciate it if you would test that link and see if it gets you to a listing of our videos that I've posted. I mentioned earlier in the meeting before everybody came on that I'm looking for somebody that's going to be our video archivist. Because for some reason, it just doesn't seem to be happening for me to get the videos posted. But if somebody's willing to do that, I would be quite happy to see that happen. And so, yeah, Eleonora is just asking, what our topics are for Saturday. So if hopefully we can get a list of topics so you all know what's happening. So Chris says the link didn't work for her. So.
I don't want to talk too much. That's why I'm passing the ball to my sister over there.
Good thing. So what happened? I thought you had to work, Eleonora.
Okay, what's in my head are a lot of things. So first of all, I'm busy with this new job as a receptionist, but we are working a lot on the website. So soon you will be the first ones who will see the website about Carlentini and Omaha, and we're trying to make a unique thing. And then we have other important projects going on with Borgorizza. I don't want to say more than this. And then the other things will be added by Sherry. But what concerns our geological meeting, I would like to share with everybody something interesting that happened this week. Nick Gibilisco sent to me and Silvana and Nick as well an email about the graves that are going to expire. Do you remember with Mary Kay last year, we were like, our ancestors are going to be removed and put in the Ossario. Come on. So she was the first to worried. She had like nightmares. So I went to the cemetery. I asked to Mr. Francesco and Mr. Brecci So remember those names. So when you will go to the cemetery, one of them will be the caretaker. He showed me a terrible paper that is written by hand, telling me those are the graves that will be removed, that are going to expire after 99 years. Well, this information was wrong because I tried from France, where I am, to call the Ufficio Affari Cimiteriali, and a very gentleman who is the responsible of the cemetery in Carlentini, Mr. Sampugnaro, answered me, because on Wednesdays they are open even in the afternoon, and I'm free on Wednesdays, so it was easier to talk with them because it was open between 4 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. But they have even an official email where we can write and they will answer us. Well, he explained me that at the really beginning of the cemetery, there is the historical part, so they cannot attach anything. And all the graves that are along the walls, that are niches, they cannot be, they cannot expire. So as soon as there are relatives, descendants who are new death, they just put together 2, 3, 4 people from the same family that are bones inside the niches. So actually, those niches, they will go forever. They never expire. So the risk is that there's no more space, but it won't happen because they're building more walls. The problem are the graves on the floor, on the ground. And he said that so far there isn't a grave that has already 99 years, because the majority of them that is not part of the historical part are new. Now you have to know that in Carlentini, if we look at the cemetery from the top, using even Google Earth, we will notice that there are a lot of graves on the ground that are pretty new. The majority of the surface of the cemetery of Carlentini is public. So it's one of the fewest cities, at least in Sicily. If you die from one day to another, suddenly, let's say you want to go under a bridge. So the city gives you the possibility to have a little space for you. However, those graves, they have to be removed after 10 years. And the relatives who are still alive, they will be obliged to buy the niches or other graves around. And usually people, they waste a lot of time before they buy another grave because they aren't available, because they have to wait. So he said, first of all, to move those who are like for free over there, we have already a lot of difficulties. So it's over there where we are more focused on. And so far, those who bought their own land and they can say, okay, this is mine. I don't have to go anywhere after 10 years, so I can stay longer. Those are the graves that will expire after 99 years, but none of them has already made 99 years of expiration. So he said that some of them, they will start to expire in 1 or 2 years. But before moving them, they have to publish the list of those graves online on the website of the city of Carlentini. They have to contact all the relatives that are still alive, and they have to establish a tax to be paid according to some parameter that I have no idea. And he said, we already don't know yet because we have no experience about that. So the good news is that for 1 or 2 years, we don't have to worry about expirations, okay? So this was the biggest news about this week that I discovered, because actually nobody explained me before. So thank you, Nick Gibilisco, for asking.
Thank you for researching it.
And I do have a question about what happened to the people who were more than 99, I mean, years ago. What, like, you know, my Nana was born in 1986. So, or 1896. And so her grave is already, well, she wouldn't be there. She's in Omaha, but her parents or her siblings are going to be older and then 100 years already. What happened to their graves? What, you know?
We are talking about the graves of the 19th century. So every single grave has a unique story. So maybe those your grandparents, maybe they had some sons or daughter who died after them, and the family maybe made the request to put them all together.
Okay. Okay.
So I want to be surprised if we will find, we are talking about always the vertical niches. With Patrick, we spend kind of 2 hours in the cemetery, and we notice that there are niches with several pictures all together. And let me see if I find some of them. Patrick, did we make some pictures that day? This is, but usually they move them together and they stay together. And you can notice who is the newest one and who is the eldest one, because when they become like bones, they move them in little boxes. So for example, I have this, there are 3 together.
Okay, so
But
in the United States of America, when you're married, they generally put a husband and a wife together, regardless of what the wife's maiden name was. So, and is that how they handle it in Carlentini?
Yes, usually people are married and kids, they have like a priority to stay together. And then I would like to open a small parenthesis about that. For example, my great grandparents, in particular, my great grandfather, Francesco Nardo, he is inside a chapel. When you are buried inside a chapel, that could be a confraternita, you can stay there forever.
Okay.
So this is in Lentini, for example. So we should double check each single grave and see where they are, if they have been moved, where they have been moved. What I can tell you is that the registers are written in a very, very, Nick, can you share some of those pictures, for example, that I sent to you about one of the registers? I opened one here, but if you want, I can send it to you immediately, like on, let's say where. Because when they move it, when they used to move them, if you go there and you read, they're written in a very complicated way. Sometimes they have been moved and they haven't written where they have been moved. So, for example, with Patrick Campagna, who is here, it was very sad to have a long list of names and none of them we were being able to find them. I mean, none of them. So maybe next time we have to do it in a better way, but you should give us, first of all, the date of the death, because we are in the death kingdom over there. So it doesn't matter if we know when they were born. What we have to know is when they died. And then we can, according to the researchers, seen that for some of you, this is the first evening. I went to the cemetery in Carlentini very often, so many times, to make videos, introductions, to make pictures, and they are very polite with me. And what we discovered with Nick Cimino doing those researches is that at the really entrance of the cemetery, there are the registers and we cannot find them graves that are older than 1920. For all the other graves, the older registers, we have to go to the office in the city center of Carlentini. So they don't have the old ones with them. And those ones are the most complicated. So far, so good. In those ones, we can understand. We are talking about, what year is this? Usually
Okay,
this is
so
written.
this is 1938.
Okay.
23 Febbraio, or 23rd of February 1938 is the data del seppellimento, which is the date of burial, not the date of death. Okay, so that's how these registers are organized. And
when we go to Carlentini on our trip in August, will we be visiting the grave sites?
Oh, Deborah, are you going to be with Teresa?
I absolutely am coming.
No,
I am.
she's with my
wild
group.
horses couldn't keep me.
Okay. Yes, we in our program, and I think there are two groups coming. One is with Sherry, the other one is with Teresa. And we will go to visit the cemetery in Carlentini Sunday morning. Now, when we will be in Carlentini, so I'll tell you exactly the right day, but we will talk about that before we will go.
let me just tell you a little bit about how this is organized, because I think it's instructive. Okay, so the first person here is Luciano Di Mauro, and it says that he is in Nikkei 854, which is our word for that would be niche 854. Go ahead, Eleanor.
The niches are along the walls, exactly.
But notice how this one here says Ossario Comunale. That's for Sebastiana De Luca. So she was put in the ossuary.
Ossario, yes, over there, it's forget it. All the bones are concentrated together. It's like a big obelisk, entirely sculptured with nice, yeah, it's like a huge altar as an obelisk. And there are little tiny windows on the ground. And usually they open those little tiny windows and it goes forever down there. So this is there where we cannot find them anymore.
Yeah, I have a picture of the Ossario here. Just a minute.
Yeah, I think I
got this out of your video.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
I hope that I want to finish over there. This was what the caretaker told me the first day. After that, I asked him like 15 questions. At one point, he looked at me and he said, one day or another, everybody finishes in the Ossario. You can be rich, you can pay the taxes, but at one point, after 200 years, somebody will forget about you and you will be over there. I was like, okay, thank you. So, but because I was like, and what about the 99 years? And what about those 10 years? And what about the 10 years? One day or another, everybody goes there.
My grandmother used to say back in the 1800s, they'd take the bones out of the graves and then put them on a boat and dump them in the ocean.
Really?
That's what my grandmother said.
Wow.
Well, this Ossario's been here for a long time.
So,
Leonora, do you know if Vicini has their own cemetery?
Every comune has its own cemetery, and Vicini
Silvana, tutti i comuni e i paesini hanno il loro cimitero, tipo Villasmundo ce l'ha?
Sì. Sì,
See,
certo,
all of
mia
them,
nonna
even the
aveva-
smallest,
i miei nonni
like
sono tutti anche i pedagaggi ce l'ha.
Pedagagi, for example, is a frazione, is part of Carlentini. There are just 900 inhabitants and they have their own cemetery. Just to answer to the question of Deborah, I send to Nick the program of the tour that we're gonna have this August, and we have 3 nights in Carlentini and 2 entire days dedicated to Carlentini. And actually we will go to visit the cemetery as a tradition once on Sunday morning, because this is a habit of Sicilians. On Sunday morning, you dress up elegant, you go to the mass, and after, or maybe even better earlier, you already went to the cemetery to bring fresh flowers to your beloved. So as a tradition, once seen that the cemetery opens quite early at 7:30 in the morning, we will start our day enjoying the beginning of the day, because in August it's very hot. So I went there in August at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. It was an oven. So we will go there early in the morning, and it will be exactly August 28th.
Okay.
I think it's a Sunday. Am I wrong? Yes. August
28
28th. Yes.
agosto.
28 di agosto, sì. Andiamo al cimitero. So the idea is to connect with the group of Teresa, connect with everybody about the group coming with Sherry, and obviously, Nick, please, let's work on their family trees. Otherwise, we will waste a lot of time, because my idea is to have all the names already ready. I will go scouting first. So I will go to see where are those graves. And when we will be there, we will be 40 people, maybe more. So I will give you a map. This is the idea. And I have to work with Nick about that, because I have talked with Laura Scolari, Carmelita's cousin, who went to the cemetery to ask an official map of the cemetery. And she said, I will not take the picture of what they showed to me because it's a shame. And I am it's a shame to share it. It's full of tape. You cannot even see it very well. The paper is all scratched. So she said it's better if we take a screenshot with Google Map and we put the little points. So you will be able to enjoy the time that we will have over there, maybe 1 hour, maybe 1 hour and a half, going straight to the graves that we will find before, and then using the rest of the time maybe to look around, to read the other names, because I think it's interesting to just wander over there and take a look around. It's different. I don't know if you like this program. If you have other ideas, so please just share them.
Well, I think that's an awesome idea. From what I can see on my family tree, none of my grandparents, any of their siblings ever came to the United States of America. My grandparents are the only ones who came here. So It's really been hard for me to find in DNA a connection in terms of names, because we didn't have anybody but each, my grandmother and my grandfather never had siblings or aunts or uncles or anyone else who ever came to the United States of America. They were the only ones.
This is simply amazing. I imagine each one of you as a tree. So you will go back to the branches to see what happened before. And in that case, the line is like a vertical to go and see who were your ancestors. But what I find that it is even more interesting is who is still alive. So we're still over there waiting for you. We're still connected with you. And if we will find relatives, it would be interesting to dedicate an afternoon that we already planned in our itinerary, because if we don't give you the time, actually you won't have the possibility to meet anybody. So the Saturday before with Sherry, we have already planned to give you a free afternoon with a free lunch to be dedicated with your relatives who are still alive.
So we need to track them down before we actually, we need to identify them before we actually get to Carlentini in August.
Yeah, and
Some
it's already
people
late.
have. Yes, and Chris, you've made connections over there, right? Chris has, and
Yeah, I have.
Marianne. Okay, Marianne, do you know if you have any relatives over there?
I don't know. I've been trying to find out, but I can't find any of them. I have a cousin.
He's got Jubalisco's over there.
Yeah, I have a cousin from Carlentini that lives in Milan now, and he said that all of the homes where our relatives used to live have all been torn down. So I don't know if I have any Mangiamelli or Gibilisco or Sortino relatives still living there. I can't find out.
So can you see Gary Gibilisco in his picture? Well, I have this dream. That morning, Saturday morning, August 27th, we will visit that building, the city hall. At the end, the mayor has the pleasure to offer us a granita. And we will end up our activities all together around 11:30, 12 maximum. So I really have this wish. I hope that at one point in front of that building, your relatives that you have never seen will come to pick you up because you have received an invitation in their houses, and you will disappear, all of them, for at least 5 hours, coming back full of pictures and gifts and tears and hugs, and it will be an unforgettable afternoon. So this is my vision, but we have to work on it before.
So we have Deb and Marianne, then Nick, that we can focus on maybe in the next few sessions, if that's at all possible.
Sure.
Just for a topic, you know. There's actually a third group possibly forming. At one point, our group was at 42. We were maxed out, but it's since dropped down to 34 because some people said that they couldn't come. But if our group does max out, we want to have available to anybody who wants to come with another group. So there is a third group that is able to form with a travel agent. Her name is Erica Schmidt. She's a travel agent, and that way people can, you know, get their plane tickets and everything through her. Ours is different. Our Santa Lucia one is almost like a private group. And then there's.
But we can do the same thing. If Nick, you can share the program, so you can take a screenshot or a picture of the screen, or we just send it to you through the email. You can take inspiration. So this is what we're going to do with Sherry. I don't want to go out of topic because this is our genealogical researches, and so far we haven't done that much about that. But I think it's important because you have asked, and some of you may be curious. Maybe you want to join us the last second. Patrick, Nick Gibilisco.
I think Patrick left the
Mary
meeting,
Kay.
but
Nick Chminen. Nick, you're coming.
I'm planning to be there in May, assuming that I don't get locked up because of COVID.
I know. That's why I haven't mentioned you.
So there's another trip to Carlentini in May.
No,
right
that's
now?
my trip.
Your trip.
Yes.
So there's another.
I'm jealous. I don't want to share Eleonora with any of the rest of you.
Well, okay, that's fine. Maybe I want to join your group too.
Well-
Maybe I want to join all 3 groups.
Yeah, if you're there while I'm there, we can be your party.
All right, well, but you don't want me in your group.
No,
Silvana, obviously we will come in your house to make a kuduruni.
Yes.
This has to be added in the official program, I think.
So my plan is to go in May and then go to Omaha in July and tell you all the things you need to see when you go in August.
Yeah.
To make them jealous. Terrible.
No.
Che viene a maggio, non ad agosto? Eleonora.
Sherry, your group's August, and when is Teresa Guerrero's or Teresa Kopecki's?
Teresa's is a family trip. Hers is private. Hers was scheduled. Hers was scheduled before ours. Ours was supposed to be last year. So we're piggybacking with her group, but we're not doing the same things at the same time. We'll meet up in Carlentini on the 27th and the 28th and the 29th, I believe. But then we go separate ways. This third group that might be forming, if people want to come, would have their own coach bus or van. If it's a smaller group, it would be, a van. They're going to be staying in a different location than we are, but close by. We needed the agriturismo that we have because we had such a large group. So anybody else staying would be at a different agriturismo about 10 minutes away from our location.
They're traveling the same dates as we are.
They are. This other group, if it forms, we don't even know if we're going to need it. So if it does form, then it would allow for Erica to come out, and as a travel agent, she'd be able to share with people in Omaha her experience, and then, book more trips in the future as well.
Awesome.
Silvana, cosa stavi chiedendo?
Chris,
Stavo chiedendo, Nick viene a maggio, non
What
viene
travel
ad
agency is she
agosto?
with?
No, Nick viene prima, viene a maggio. Sì.
ho capito.
Nick, can you remind us exactly the days that you will be in Carlentini? I think you're going to have an invitation.
Yeah, it starts on the last Sunday in May. I can't
L'ultima
remember if it's
domenica
the-
di maggio sarà a Carlentini.
Well, that's not when I'm in Carlentini. That's when I start my tour in Palermo. And then it's 11 days after that I'll be in Carlentini. So it'll be...
Ok, quindi 11 giorni dopo l'ultima domenica di maggio. Quindi l'ultima domenica di maggio è il 29, il 5 è una settimana. You will be around the 8th of June.
Yes.
In Carlentini.
Yes.
3 days?
Well, last time we were planning 4. I'm hoping to extend that to maybe 5 or 6, but
Allora,
we
la
haven't
media di
worked out the
4-5
details
giorni,
yet.
quindi dall'8 al 12 giugno.
Perfetto, così
I
può
missed
venire.
that. Is Nick with Rosella and
Ci possiamo
Gianca?
incontrare allora.
No, I'm going on the Rick
Sì.
Steves tour. You know
that's
that
right.
video that you
Oh.
just shared? That's the tour I'm going on.
You're going on Rick Steves.
Yeah,
He does a lot in Italy.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, he
I'm
loves
curious to know
Sicily. He
his
says if you want to
experience.
see Italy, go to Sicily first.
Well, Rick Steves actually was married to a Omaha woman from Carlentini. Her family was originally from Carlentini.
You're kidding.
No, I'm
Ho
serious.
capito.
That's how he got so involved in Italy to begin with in all of his Rick Steves programs.
Ora ti scrivo. I'm
So I
writing
was
to you in
disappointed that
WhatsApp,
Patrick
Silvana.
left the meeting because
Aspetta, ma io il telefono ce l'ho qua però.
Eleanor, can you tell us about Patrick's visit? What did he do and what did you do while you were
I
together?
wanted to say just to Silvana 1 second about what we said in English because she saw our reaction. Allora, Rick Steve, tu l'hai mai sentito nominare? È un grosso tour operator, ora poi te lo scrivo, Rick Steve. Ed è uno che ha fatto la sua fortuna spifferando quelli che sono i segreti delle guide e innalzandosi a vero avventuroso e conoscitore dei posti. E quindi è diventato come se per noi io ti dicessi la Lolly Planet. Tutti comprano i suoi libri, tutti lo seguono nei suoi viaggi E a quanto pare Debra ci sta dicendo che anni fa lui si sposò, era sposato con una signora di Omaha che aveva origini carlentinesi, quindi pensa un po',
guarda caso.
ecco perché ha cominciato lui dalla Sicilia a
Ah,
spifferare
ecco,
come
aveva
funzionavano i nostri tour, se le guide prendevano le mance, tutto quello che era all'epoca all'ordine del giorno degli anni 90, lui l'ha sputtanato tutto nel web e si è fatta la sua
capito.
ricchezza. Così, perché la gente poi ha iniziato ad avere fiducia e a seguirlo. Ok, ma adesso i suoi tour sono proprio fatti bene. His
ecco.
tours are very well done.
Yeah, we start in Palermo at the Hotel Ambasciatore. And so that first day we have a welcome meeting and we go to a tour of Palazzo Federico. Then day 2, we're still in Palermo. We drive to Monreale. And day 3,
Segesta,
Monreale,
Segesta.
We sleep in Trapani that night. And then day 4, we see the salt and sleep in Trapani. Day 5, Agrigento, sleep near Agrigento.
Mm-hmm.
And then day 6,
Siracusa.
we sleep on Ortigia.
Montetna.
So we'll be in Syracuse on day 6.
Ah.
And day 7 will be in Syracuse. And then day 8, we go to Taormina, sleep in Taormina. And then we have 2 nights in Taormina. And then we have 1 night in Catania. And then our tour's over on June 8th. And we'll leave Catania and head to Carlentini.
Ortigia, I'm sorry, is June 3rd? No. Sleep in Ortigia. Go back 1 second.
Yeah,
6th
so
of June.
Friday, June 3rd, will be in Ortigia.
3rd, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, come to Syracuse. And we'll have dinner.
You're in my agenda.
No, what does it say? This evening we'll take a walk. Okay, so yeah, we're free to just walk around in Syracuse that night.
It's beautiful.
And let's see, then the rest of the day is yours. So also on Saturday, we're free after the morning. Oh no, we have a puppet theater and then we're free.
Quindi a Carlentini quale giorno ci viene a questo punto?
Quando
Con
finisce il tour, poi a fine tour lui si sposta a Carlentini.
Ho capito. Quindi dopo il 6. Perché l'ultimo giorno è il giorno 6. Ah, quindi poi l'ultima parte del viaggio la fa a Carlentini, ho capito.
So yeah, we wanted to get a good overview of the island. And I guess you guys are doing that too, right? In August, aren't you going to do a tour of the island? And that's Rosella and Gianca are leading that?
Yes. They are coming up.
Oh, we should announce
Yes.
Rosella and Gianca will be with us next Tuesday to talk about, their tour program and their store and all the wonderful things that they're doing. I guess they had a little trouble with their last video. I tried to watch that.
I saw that. But this is going to be a really important meeting. They are the reason why Eleonora and I even met.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they are our connection, and thanks to them, everything has really started, because with COVID, I was at home, not working. So they asked me, would you mind if you guide our followers on Facebook virtually? And I was like, I've never done the tour guide virtually, but if I do it in the reality, so why not? So we started this little live program on Facebook. I think we made like 5 or 6 episodes, Tales of Sicily, and was there that me and Sherry we get connected, because she knew that I was going to be her tour guide, So immediately she was like, hi, I'm the tour. I'm the chef of the tour coming in Carlentini. Ding! And then we get connected. And from that day on, I mean, we have talked every day. I talk more with her than with my mom, I have to tell you.
This is true.
So,
Don't tell
and
your
then you
mother
know the
that.
rest of the story.
Eleonora, volevo dire a Nick Cimino, a Nick Gibilisco, quello che mi ha chiesto i certificati, li ha chiesti pure a te, che Lucy Latina mi ha detto che me li darà lunedì prossimo, i certificati. Quindi poi io casomai
you
glieli mando, non so
see,
se glieli mando
Silvana,
direttamente a lei.
She's making her moves in Carlentini. So Lucy Latina told her that she's going to give to Silvana the certificates that you asked next Monday. Quindi quando sarebbe lunedì prossimo?
Lunedì prossimo, oggi ne abbiamo uno. Oggi ne abbiamo uno.
Sì, il
martedì,
7,
2,
the
3, 4, 5, 6, il 7, sì. Ma sai, c'è mia cugina che lavora in comune, quindi io l'ho detto a lei e lei tutti i giorni lo ricorda, quindi. Ma stasera ci doveva essere anche
Rino, contact me and
ci
Nick
doveva
send
collegare.
him. Sì, già Nick gli ha mandato l'invito su Zoom. Quando vuole ci contatta.
Lui non si è collegato.
No, not tonight. No. We'll see. No, Saturday I will join the meeting a little bit later because I will finish very late at work at 9:30 my time. So I need 20 minutes to come back home, so I will be able to tell you like hi and good night, maybe, because the meeting will be almost over. But Sherry will be there and my sister will be there as well. The idea is to share ideas and share the activities and the projects that are going on, like the Italian lessons to the kids and all the other things that we are doing. The gadgets, yes.
So, Chris, do you want to talk about this or do you want me to say something?
But this is out of topic. Let's go back to genealogical researches.
So as you guys know, Eleonora does a lot. And a lot of the things that are taking place right now are kind of operational expenses. She's putting together a website, doing all these things that are costing money. And one of the things that maybe we could do to benefit her is, actually implement this association and have it start to work. So we're kind of looking at how to make that happen in the near future. But there's this merchandise, this mug that was made by Chris's nephew, and he did a phenomenal job. So Eleonora, me, and Dominic Magno are going to talk on Sunday about how we can go about getting more of these made. But we want to know, from people if they want to purchase these items. And if you guys know anything about these mugs, they are pretty costly, but they last a long time. And this one came out phenomenal. Chris and I were talking a little while ago too, and we thought, maybe we could have it on different colored mugs as well, like red or green.
Yeah, red and green would be great.
Yeah, and t-shirts. So the idea one day, seeing that Sherry has already started the Italian lessons with the kids, with Silvana's daughter, Erica. She's finishing the university in sport. So if one day we will be able to import and create an exchange based on sport and culture, the idea is to help the kids of our families and then even our families to get their tickets paid to come in Sicily or to go to Omaha. And obviously we still have an artistic exchange frozen because we have artists waiting for us. When we will be able to pay them their flight tickets and everything, they have designed a big, gigantic mural that will decorate Carlentini and Omaha. They will have the same mural talking about our connection And the idea is to bring in Carlentini a small piece of a stone, maybe taken from the ground from Omaha, and then the same Carlentini.
We want the Etna.
No, we will take a volcanic stone in Carlentini. I will take it with my hands. In front of the bar derby, I'm gonna take a stone and they'll say, this will go to Omaha. I'll make a video. Or maybe we take one stone in Silvana's countryside.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah. So just to give you some few ideas, but we have so many. With the genealogical researches, there are so many things to do, like helping Nick building the website, find a grave, making nice pictures, making videos, and then digitalizing all the registers. If we will have a budget one day, rather than bothering friends to go to the city hall, etc., that we are not bothering. We wanted to be able to create a new job. So maybe people like Silvana's daughter's age, they are forced to leave because they have no job in Carlentini. Maybe they can get paid to go to the Ufficio Anagrafe, look for that act of birth, act of death, and with the association we can pay them. Not to talk about all the other activities that we can do. Now we are transforming this Zoom meeting into the meeting that we have Saturday, but we would like to create in Carlentini something like a La Festa Italiana that you have in Omaha. And it will be a huge, gigantic table in the middle of the square where Gary is sitting, and you will have a kuduruni and all the best things, and we will sit all together. We will eat, listening to the music that Carmelita can play or other artists. So we have so many ideas, and to do that, we need money. So this is thank
Eleonora,
you,
ti volevo dire
Chris.
che
Sì.
Posso? Allora,
Vai.
ti volevo dire che a casa mia qua in campagna spesso si organizzano feste con una parria che viene, sistema tutto, porta i tavoli, insomma.
Sì.
Quindi, volendo una serata così la possiamo organizzare, perché qua ci vanno fino a 200 persone fuori nel
So
giardino.
Silvana, she's inviting us
Quindi
in her house in the
non c'è problema,
countryside
cioè si può
because
fare una serata
she
come piace a
likes
loro,
to make
con arancini,
dinners.
tutte quelle cose tipiche.
The maximum is 200 people in her house.
Oh my.
It's a big house.
200 people.
So people, what are you
Il
waiting
giardino,
for?
non la casa all'esterno.
In the garden, not inside the house, in the garden. Yes, nice. Silvana, lo faremo. Arriverà questo momento.
And
Okay,
that's another
now-
thing that we want to do. We also want to help Silvana with her Airbnb and make sure that people know that they have a place to stay that they can rent out at her place with a pool.
Sì.
Sì, dice, vogliamo anche aiutare te con il tuo B&B e sponsorizzarlo così
Sì,
la
in
gente
questo
che viene a Carlentini sa
momento
dove andare.
l'ha fermato Erika, perché ci sta abitando lei a Carlentini, quindi l'ha chiuso un
va
po'
bene.
per questo periodo.
Ne
Poi
parleremo un po'
vedremo
più
più in là.
avanti. Ok.
And this is another thing that's a little off the subject, but in like November or December, we talked about starting Italian lessons in January.
And we haven't started.
For a donation, and I just want to make sure if we go there, count me in. And I just need to know where to make my monetary donation so that I make it monetarily feasible for your time and energy to teach me how to speak Italian.
This is my official apologies, because this is my fault. I was supposed to stay home and dedicate myself to those things, but because of economical reasons and personal reasons, I've decided to come here in France, moving those projects at least for 2 months. But this is one of the ideas to start with the help of Sherry and Nick, Italian lessons online as we are doing this Zoom meeting tonight, and you can make your donations and they will go straight to the association. But here I have a lot of difficulties in France to do that. So I have to wait for to come back to Sicily. Usually I have no connection. Tonight I rent this little box to talk with you because I get nervous because I don't listen, I don't hear you, and the images, they don't go. So tonight I found this solution, but it will be easier when I will be in Sicily. So Deborah, I apologize.
No apologies needed. I just don't want anybody, I don't want anybody to start any Italian lessons that I didn't hear about.
Okay, you will be in.
I'm your number one student.
Why?
Leonora, would it be Italian or would it be Sicilian?
Marianna, this is a good question. We can teach even Sicilian.
Cominciamo ora.
Silvana said, let's start now. Cominciamo ora. The thing is, will you use it? I mean, we can dedicate maybe some part of our Italian lessons to some Sicilian expressions. Why not? I can add it in my ideas. Okay, we will think about it.
Invece ti devi fare dire quali sono le espressioni che loro ancora usano in siciliano, perché magari
this is a
non
good
sanno
question
neanche
that
cosa
Silvana is
significa.
asking. Do you know some expressions in Sicilian that you maybe remember, or even better that you use?
Bedamate.
Come again?
Bedamate?
Bedamate.
La Madonna.
So, holy,
Lo sa lei, no?
My mother
Holy
said that a lot.
Virgin. Beautiful, yeah, beautiful mother, if you have to translate it.
Si riferisce alla Madonna, ovviamente.
Sì.
Bedamate Santissima.
Holy, beautiful mother.
Well, I don't know about the rest of your families, but my family was very strict about not speaking any kind of Sicilian. They were like, you're in America, you speak English.
Yeah.
That was my father's both sets of my grandparents, Northern and Sicilian. It was like they wanted to acclimate. They gave their children Italian names, but they never went by their given names on their birth certificates. They went by American names. So my uncle Frank Francesco we never even knew his name until I started doing research.
Ah, okay.
He went by Frank.
All'epoca i genitori di tutti loro vietavano l'uso del siciliano in casa, e addirittura suo zio, che era Francesco, il suo vero nome, lei l'ha scoperto soltanto facendo le ricerche genealogiche che era Francesco, perché tutti i nomi italiani, pur avendo nomi italiani, venivano tradotti e quindi rifiutavano totalmente l'origine italiana. So it's interesting, like an elastic, they were forced to leave. I think they weren't so happy to go away, but I think that they saw a lot of difficulties here. So for them, Sicily was something that they had to, they had to leave behind, and to do not get discriminated over there. They wanted to feel like equals. I understand. And they refused their roots, but now that the following generations, we have a kind of, let's say, when you miss something and then you want to go back and you want to know those things.
Well, for us, it's like a nostalgia, or, it's kind of like a piece of us that is lost. I mean, why did they leave it all behind? It was interesting, because my family was very, very poor. And my great grandfather, he was the original immigrant. He lost his job, but he would send his children out in the street to make money for him, that they would sell newspapers. Or one time he even sent them to the city hall and told them to ask for a job for him. I have a newspaper article that talks about my grandfather and his sister being sent to the city hall to ask for a job for their father.
Nick dice che il suo antenato, il suo bisnonno che si sposta là, aveva molte difficoltà, erano proprio molto poveri, e i suoi nonni chiedevano i soldi per la strada o vendevano i giornali per fare 2 lire, e addirittura c'è un articolo nel giornale che parla dei suoi nonni che erano andati al comune per chiedere al sindaco un lavoro per il loro papà.
Yeah, I'll show you the article.
But I want to open a small parenthesis. As you can notice, I translate always less and less for Silvana, who is little by little learning English. But when you listen my translations in Italian, do you recognize some words?
Yes.
Or at all? This is already an exercise. Vediamo. Get a job for father. This is a beautiful story, Nick. We should make something like you should write it down, or like an interview. You can use those things. I think it's very touching, and we don't have to, I mean, have shame or it was the reality. All of them, they had economical difficulties, because if they had something here, they wouldn't leave.
You know, I don't get that impression from the stories my Nana told me. My Nana told me that my Nanu and about 5 or 6 of his buddies, maybe it was 4 or 5, but in World War I, they joined the U.S. Army because they knew that they would, when the war was over, they would become U.S. citizens, and they felt their opportunities here in the United States of America would be much better than their opportunities in Carlentini or Lentini, as far as careers and their future for their families. And it was their dream to have their children be American, be born as US American citizens. So
and they have a different life. Yeah.
Yes, to have a better, they believed that they would have a better life. So they were not, even though they tried to assimilate and speak, do American names rather than their Italian names. I do know that they had difficulties. The males, once they all, there was only one of the soldiers, 5 or 6 of them, who had any living relative in the United States of America, who happened to be someone's sister who was married to an American and lived in Omaha, Nebraska. And so they didn't know anybody else. So the group stayed united.
They were alone, but united.
The military, yes, the military group stayed united, and they all came to Omaha, Nebraska. They all got housing, or, you know, and jobs. And then they could not get American women to be interested in them because they were all single men. So they couldn't find American women who were interested in them.
So what happened? Did they marry Sicilian ladies?
Well, my grandmother was the first one. They sent a letter to Carlentini looking for eligible marriage women. who wanted to be married in the United States of America. They sent passage, and the money for her passage. They all pulled their money together. And then she was greeted in New York City by the sister who escorted her back to the United States, back to Omaha, where she lived in that house. And she was the matchmaker, so to speak, who my grandmother then went on several dates, chaperone dates, and then she got to pick from which one of those men that she
This is a
wanted.
beautiful story. They used to send the pictures as well before to choose each other.
Racconta Eleonora
heard
che io
this-
non ho capito tanto.
Well, but you know,
è lunga la storia. Ora, aspetta. Let me translate shortly
Vabbè,
for Silvana and I come back.
tranquilla.
Allora, praticamente i suoi antenati erano 6 fratelli che nella prima guerra mondiale decisero di allearsi di reclutarsi come soldati nell'esercito americano, perché sapevano che alla fine della guerra, se fossero sopravvissuti, sarebbero diventati automaticamente cittadini americani, perché erano ambiziosi e volevano avere una vita migliore. Quando poi arrivarono là in America, questi 6 fratelli militari abitavano tutti nella stessa casa e avevano sta zia che fu la connessione per loro là a Omaha, ma nessuna donna americana li voleva sposare perché non parlavano la lingua, erano stranieri, erano 6 uomini vivendo tutti quanti insieme, quindi avevano molte difficoltà. E allora la madre iniziò a mandare le lettere a Carlentini cercando donne eleggibili, partiti buoni per essere sposati da soldati americani originari di qua. E quindi iniziarono poi matrimoni così e si portarono le siciliane là. So they get married with Sicilian girls who decided to move to the United States, getting married with those, because if you look at the story from our side, in the 20s, in the 30s, to receive a letter of a guy who is an American soldier who speaks your language because he's a Sicilian, promising you a better life in the United States, this was like to win in the lottery for a woman in Sicily. While for a women in the United States, they were like, because American women at the time, they wanted a better step compared to their origins and everything, and we were not considered a better step.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's true. And you know, my grandmother, fortunately, she got the pick of the litter, which was my grandfather, because she was the first one. But then there were other, and it's my understanding that they were very close knit. Those soldiers, those veterans, U.S. veterans here in the United States, in Omaha.
Deborah, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Who is your grandfather and your grandmother?
My nanu is Mariano Santo, Santo.
Okay.
And I know I have some old pictures that I really want to try to figure out how I can get them on here. And if somebody could look at them and maybe tell me what's written on the back, because I don't understand, you know, somebody might have, I think I have a picture of my nanu's mother and father and his grandmother. And I know he had at least one brother, but I don't know anything else about any siblings on my nanu's side. And I have some wonderful pictures that I don't know how to put on that I've been saving to try to get into my tree, but I am just so technologically unsavvy that, you know, there are so many things that I want to do. And I really do want to track down. I think my grandmother was one of 3 girls. And then she had a brother. And I have some information about my grandmother's sisters' names. And one of the reasons she chose to come was because she was the middle, that's my nanu, Mariano Santo, and that's the picture on his grave here in Holy Sepulchre. That's my nana. And she's the one who told me all of the stories. She's a storyteller. And I have beautiful, beautiful stories I need to publish because, see, and here they have her name is Josephine and the son is Frank, and her name was Jessipina, and her and for Uncle Frank's name was Francisco.
Just the Americanized version of the Italian.
Ma il cognome della nonna com'era? Come si chiamava di cognome? Il papà Santo e la mamma?
Yes.
Can you put back one page, Nick? No. I mean on the census. Yep, there you go. 1425 what?
Well, let me pull up the actual census record.
All right.
So I'm not sure which year that was. Did you catch that?
It was 40.
40.
Sorry, lost my connection. Scusate.
Okay, so
North 19th.
yeah, North 19th.
Okay. Well, I haven't really
1425 North 19th Street. So they were in North Omaha.
Yes, they were in North. They were in North Omaha, and I tried to work with who I can't remember who I tried to work with, but we went to the Omaha Library and tried to look up the address to try to identify. I really would love to identify the other soldiers because that was the only family that my Nana and Nanu really had. And
what about this neighbor? Does this name ring a bell? Radicia?
Radicia, yes. Radicias were very, yes. It was one of the, and Radicia might be the family who had the sister who was in Omaha. I don't know, but that's what I'm trying to track down is.
Because that doesn't sound like a Carlentini name. They must have been Calabrese.
Radicia?
Radicia non è un nome carlentinese, ha ragione. Leila.
Because it was my understanding that every single one of these soldiers was either from Carlentini or Lentini. My grandfather, it depends on what you look at, but I was actually told, and I don't know the difference between Lentini and Carlentini and how far away they were, but I was actually told that he was from Lentini, but his buddies who were the majority of his U.S. Army buddies were from Carlentini. Luciano Radicia. And I thought that perhaps there would be a Biono, and I was wondering if Biono might be the family because my Uncle Frank's name is Francisco. And there's a Biono, Lucille Biono, who's like 95 years old, and she was like best friends with my Aunt Angie, and they were neighbors. There you go, Biono, and his name was Frank. And I'm almost positive that one of his best friend must have been Francisco Biono, and that's why they named their firstborn child, male, Francisco. That's my...
Scusa, Francesco Biono è uno strano cognome, forse è biondo.
Well, they pronounced it Biono.
Biondo.
It looks like Bione in the census, but
Dov'è? Vediamo, ce l'hai?
I'll take your word for it if they said Biono. That doesn't sound like a Carlentini name either. A lot of those North Omaha people were Calabreses.
Sì, può essere.
Well, again, Biono, is there a
Bio-
Lucille in there? Lucy, yeah, Lucille.
Bione.
Yeah,
Lucy
because
is,
Lucille would be my Aunt Angie's. The Radisha, there should be, Radisha was one of my Aunt Angie's best friends. And the Biono was another one of my Aunt Angie's best friends.
yeah, so they're right here. They're all living on the same street.
Right, right. And that's why the story, again, that I keep trying to piece
Biono.
together is trying to identify who the soldiers were that joined with him. And because they all came to Omaha, they all got jobs. And once they had jobs, and they stayed in a boarding house or something until they had somebody who wanted to marry them, and then and I've got pictures of their wedding party to see if anybody recognizes who the maid of honor and the best man are.
Yeah, I have these in my tree, the radishas.
So for whatever reason, when you save somebody to your tree out of a census record, it doesn't bring their family along the first time. So you have to go and remove it and then add them again.
Are you talking about my tree?
No, this is my Italians of Omaha tree where I have your family in there.
Okay.
But what I thought was I would see what sort of hints there were for Luciano Radice and see if there was like a naturalization. Social Security, railroad retirement, World War I, World War II. Now these often will have the actual birthplace, the World War II cards. Lentini.
And what does he have? Name and address, Mariano Santo. Why does he have name and address of person who will always know your address? He's got my grandfather's name.
Right. They lived on the same street for at least 10 years. They probably more.
Right.
Worked at Union Pacific.
Right.
And Deb, I was the one that went to the library with you.
Oh, thanks, Bob. I couldn't remember, but thank you so much for your help. But yes, Radicious. What I was able to talk to Lou about, and she said Lucille Biono said that they were like next door neighbors, that they all, again, stayed in the same little area. And that
there's the naturalization records there.
Okay. And that her mom and dad didn't tell her the stories that my Nana told. Her mother and father didn't tell the same stories that my Nana told. So,
Silvano, non ti sembra strano questo cognome Radice?
Sì, molto strano, non è Carlentini. Cioè, già per esempio il nome Santo io avevo intuito che era di Lentini, non di Carlentini. E in effetti è così. Questo Radice...
Already with the name Santo, Silvana was thinking this guy is not from Carlentini, maybe from Lentini. So because Santo is not a common name in Carlentini, but it was in Lentini. But what I find interesting is the family name Radice, because they misunderstood maybe.
Non è un cognome comune, sai, io lavoro a scuola e vedo tanti cognomi. per cui
Oh,
meno
Ponte,
male.
yeah. I see it right down here.
Yeah.
And she came on the
Visto perché si
Belvedere
chiama
in
Luciano?
1921.
Eleonora,
Yeah,
fagli
from
notare.
Africa.
Si chiama Luciano
No, it's
perché è
not
nato il 13 dicembre.
common.
Senti? Guarda quando è nato. 13
But where
dicembre.
she
E si
was
chiama
born,
Luciano.
Conti, yes, my grandmother's,
she was born in
Born in
my
Catania.
grandmother
Catania.
from my mother's side has a lot
Oh,
of
Catania,
Conti
she
in
was-
her family.
Allora, è nato a Lentini il
So
13
they call
dicembre
her
1995.
Agathe here, but it's Agita.
Luciano.
Agata would be the Italian. Yeah, here it
Cosa?
is. Agata Ponti.
Agata Ponti.
Ma è maschio, Lucien?
Certo, Lucien radice, nato il 13 dicembre, infatti si chiama
Luciano.
Luciano.
Luciano. Lucien is the French way.
13 December, Santa
So,
Lucia.
Deborah, on the dates on here, you know, you take them with a grain of salt because they're doing it from memory when they're filling out this application.
Right. And they don't also, people are helping them and they don't understand what they're saying with their accent.
Right.
I got
Either one.
Lucien should be Luciano in Italian. There is a O missing and there is an H plus.
Yeah, so the Italian would be Agata.
Sì,
Agata.
that is a typical name of Catania.
Vabbè,
The
anche
most
Carlentini
typical
c'è,
female name in Catania. Ah, infatti sono di Catania.
Anticamente c'era Agatina, chiamavano Maria Itina.
Agata,
Yeah.
Agatina, Yaitina, Titti.
Well, all I know is that maybe they weren't able to find more takers after my grandmother in Carlentini or Lentini. Although when I talked to Lucille Biono, she did think that her mother had sisters, and multiple of her mother's sisters were married to some of the men.
Radicia. I'm not.
Ma anche Biono è un cognome stranissimo.
Quale? Bono forse voleva dire.
Biono.
Bono
Forse è
forse voleva
Bono,
dire.
che è stato tradotto male.
Sì.
Sì.
Oh, look at, she goes by
Perché a
Tina.
Carlentini ci sono che si chiamano Bono, ma Biono no.
Certo, c'era
Agatina
Lucia
is
Bono, era l'infermiera.
another version of
Certo.
Agata.
Io avevo una vicina di casa che si chiamava Bono.
So I don't know if this is the same woman. Was that, did she
Tina could be a short name of Agata. Agata, Agatina. In fact,
Agatina,
Silvana
certo, può
was
essere.
saying Tina is
yeah,
one
she
of the
was
names
born on
of
the 13th of May, 1900. So that was
Yeah.
definitely her.
Faglielo
Yeah,
notare che
Tina.
si chiama Luciano perché è nato il 13 dicembre.
And the other one is called Luciano because was born December 13th. That is the day of Santa Lucia. So if you were born the day of descent, this was something obligatory that they gave the name of descent to the kids.
And that's why my father was named Sebastiano,
Because he was born the 20th of January.
Exactly. His birthday was January 20th. So he was named Sebastiano because of the feast
So
of Saint
Lucia or Luciano, if you are December 13. For example, even my parents applied in a modern way this ancient belief, because I was born August 18th, and this is in Italy, Santa Elena. So my father said she has to have a name, Elena, or starting with Ele and something. And then my mother said, okay, do you like Eleonora? And they chose Eleonora, but I was going to be Elena.
Ah.
So Eleonora, will that
It's
will
like
that
a kind of protection. I don't know why.
will will that naming convention, does that supersede the naming convention of like naming it after the grandfather? And if you're born on the saint's day, will they forego naming
Did I
the?
lose you
No,
again?
I think you have to do the
I don't hear
grandfather
you anymore.
first.
No.
You do the male grandfather still, even though they're
Yeah,
born on the
you
saint's
gotta
day?
make sure that both grandfathers are covered, and then you can name people other names.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Wow. Interesting.
There's a lot of stuff out there.
In my family, the grandmother was Carmela Grasso. And they named three daughters Carmela.
Wow.
Yeah, because the first one died like as a baby. The second one died when she was 18 or 19. And then the third one, she lived a nice full life, but she was the last child. So they, after that daughter died and Carmela was back up, you gotta use Carmela.
Oh, I didn't see the second one. So is that one in your tree? I saw the first one that died as an infant.
Yeah, the last one, she went by Camilla.
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 Carmela, dai.
It was the Americanized version of Carmela.
Oh, okay. Well, which one? Well, obviously yours was the last one. Your ancestor. Okay.
Well, no, my ancestor was Sebastiano Richard.
Yeah, but married to Carmela, right? Grasso.
No. Sebastiano Cimino married Carmela Grasso. That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. But I didn't realize there were three of them. I'd seen two of them there.
Yeah, well, no, this was under their son, Antonino. He named his children after.
Oh, this is the next generation. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I see.
Yeah. It was obligatory, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I had one of my great grandparents. Well, I don't know. There was three Marias that died as infants, and finally the fourth one survived and came to America with her mom. And then I guess they had a knockdown, drag out fight on 6th Street, or 5th Street down in that area there for the rest of their lives. And maybe she liked the other daughters better, since they were gone. I don't know. Yeah. But interesting stuff.
So it's getting late, folks. We went well past our 90 minutes, and I want to thank you all for coming. If you need a link for Saturday, I sent them out earlier this week, so you should have gotten yours if you haven't already. So if you didn't get one, let me know. Send me an email, send me a Facebook message, tell me if you want to be on the Saturday meeting.
Okay.
What time is it on Saturday?
It's the same time as this one,
2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't have my laptop up and working. I'm at my brother's office. I should be, if you want to send me an invite, I'll try to make it.
Okay.
2 o'clock.
What's your email again, Deb?
It's Deb's Turn, DEBSTURN, Deb's Turn @gmail.com.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I think I got one, but I'm not sure. If you want to send one to me again.
I'll check on your registration, Marianne.
Okay.
I got it, but can't make it this Saturday.
Okay.
And you guys are going to be seeing me on a regular basis from here on out because.
All right, good. So, Marianne and Deb, we should probably start working on your trees so that we can
Yeah.
find your living relatives over there.
I would like that.
Okay,
Me
so-
too. And I actually want to do another thing with you, a private session with you,
Okay,
like we did before.
all right, good.
I
Hey,
still
Nick.
don't have the thing squared away with ancestry.com, but I will, before we get together, I will get it accomplished.
Okay, well, I mean, we can always just put it in the Italians of Omaha tree and then we can copy it over to your tree. at a
Oh,
later
let's
date.
do that.
Yeah,
That's perfect. That's perfect. So we'll have to set a date, what works for you.
okay.
Okay?
Nick,
All right, thank
Mary
you, everybody. What, Nick?
Ann's Jibilisco side will be in my tree that you have,
Oh, okay.
so you can piggyback off of that.
Yeah.
So have you traced any living people, Nick?
I'm at a loss there. It's there's a guy named Pippo Sortino that says we're related, and he's emailed me before and I've communicated, but we haven't made the connection. And Dean actually sent me a bunch of
Pippo Sortino is my friend.
Pippo.
Yes, he wrote a book in English, amazing. And he
Yeah,
lives in the countryside with his wife, Kalpana, who was born in Kenya from an Indian family
Yeah,
and
that's him.
grew up in London. And they met each other in London. And then they went to Kenya for 13 years. And then they moved to Carlentini 9 years ago. And he wrote a book about the story of his family and his life. Sometimes we had even his cousin, Tony Sortino, in our groups. And he has a son in Las Vegas and another one here in Europe. I don't remember which island was, Tenerife maybe. But he speaks perfectly English. So people, it's an interesting connection.
So
Yeah, he
lives in
swears
Are we
that-
related?
He
Is it-
swears that we're related. Yeah, because I put in a request for one of my great grandmother's birth certificates or marriage certificates or something, and someone at the office in Carlentini forwarded it to him because they knew that it was related to him, and so then he emailed me from there, and we started talking. He's like, "I'm not exactly sure, but I know these people are in my tree," so. Yeah, we're related somehow, and I know he's out there, but the connection is that haven't made it yet.
Yeah, I want to get him online so we could ask him
Yeah.
questions about his family tree, but haven't been able to do it yet.
Yeah, he seems like a pretty
What
interesting
a
fellow.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have his book. It just came in the mail a couple weeks ago, and Robin is reading it first, and then I'll read it.
Cool.
Yeah, his dream, he said that when I met him, he asked me, Eleonora, before I die, I would like this book to be a movie. And I said, people, I will do my best. I will help you. So the only thing that I've been able to do is to connect him with Michael Cavalieri, who came in Sicily, who visited his house. They met in person, but it's not easy to find in a couple of days, let's say, that easily someone who will make a movie for you. So I'm still trying to find the right way to let his dream come true.
Yeah, Dean gave me a bunch of documents pertaining to my Sortino side, and I've added all of those into my tree, so to help grow that connection. So I've added a ton of Sortinos into my tree, and hoping I can make the connection here pretty soon.
Yeah, that would be great.
Speaking of Sortinos, is the pizza place on L Street still open?
They close at 5:30.
Right.
Oh, they close at 5:30.
I think they're having a rough go.
Dang. Well, I eat early these days now, but once I got older, I started doing like the old people do. 4:30 is my supper time. I no longer eat like European style. I eat old people time.
The same time they eat at the old folks' home.
Exactly, absolutely. You know, and every, whatever those steak corral things were that all the old people always went, you know, at 4:30. That was like, they all go to those little buffet or whatever those things were, where they get their steak at 4:30.
4:30.
Yes, every day of the week. You know, if they were going to go out, they were going to go cheap, and they were going to have steak, but they were going to go cheap, and they were going to go early.
Marianne, that's, I remember Yano, my grandpa, he would always take me to Sizzler at like 4
Sizzler,
o'clock.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, before the
Leonora,
price change.
posso dire una cosa
Yep.
a proposito di Sortino? A Carlentini ci sono delle famiglie che si chiamano Sortino, Spagnolello e Salerno. Queste tre famiglie, mi senti Eleonora? Non c'è più
Sortinos?
Eleonora. Sono un po' pazzerelli, non mi capite.
Ah.
I
Eleonora,
don't know
ci
if she can
sei?
hear you, but it sounded like you were talking about families of Sortino and Salerno.
Yeah.
E Spagnolello sono a little crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Person.
Oh, interesting.
That's about right.
Hai visto, è vero.
Yeah, va bene.
Okay, well, I'm going to close the
Okay.
meeting, and thank you all for coming, and we will see you Saturday.
Ciao
And
tutti.
we'll see you on
Grazie
Tuesday.
Silvana.
Ciao, ciao.
tutti.
A voi, bellissimo che siete. Ciao a tutti. Ci
Bye-bye.
vediamo
Talk to you next
la
week.
prossima
maybe.
volta.
All right. Bye, bye,
Ciao.
bye.